Hello and welcome to Lunchtime Politics. First, the highlights. Less than 24 hours to the end of the 60 days window for President Bola Tinubu to submit the nominees for his cabinet. Sources reveal the ministerial nominees list will be announced today at plenary. Sit-at-home order in the southeast now a cause for concern as the Niger residents protest sealing of shops. Federal lawmakers are asking the federal government to collaborate to end the menace. And the federal government have met with Labour representatives for continuation of their previous discussions on measures to cushion the impact of fuel subsidy removal. Welcome to the program. I'm Millicent Walker in Lagos. And we begin with Justice Hamza Muazu of the Federal Capital Territory High Court suspending, in an order to secure an order, and that is the Department of State Services, DSS, to secure an order to detain the suspended governor of the central bank based on an application which the justice struck out. Mr. Godwin Emefiele, for 14 days, was more based on what they refer to as fresh evidence that they have uncovered. Now, that application filed by the DSS was heard by Justice Muazu, quietly filed by the lawyers from the service Wednesday, came up before the vacation judge today. The judge struck out the application for being an abuse of court process and also for lack of jurisdiction. When the judge questioned counsel to the DSS, Mr. Victor Ejelonu, on the court's jurisdiction in view of the provisions of sections 293 and 296 of the Administration of Criminal Justice Act, which vests exclusive rights on the magistrate court to grant detention order, the counsel applied and withdrew the matter. This application follows the rearrest of Mr. Emefiele from the premises of the Federal High Court in Lagos by the security agency after he was remanded in custody of the correctional center pending the perfection of his bail, which was granted by Justice Nicholas Weibo. And the clock is ticking as President Bola Tinubu has less than 24 hours to reveal the ministerial nominees to Nigerians. The president, who was sworn in May the 29th, 2023, in line with the constitutional requirements made by his predecessor, President Muhammadu Buhari, who on March 17, 2023, assented to the Constitution Amendment Bill mandating the President and Governor submit nominees for their cabinets within 60 days of taking the oath of office. We understand that the list is on the floor of the Senate. There are a number of hopeful sources say might make the list, like former governors Atiku Bagudu and Nyesom Wike, and also several technocrats, although previous administrations had worked with a total of 42 ministers representing the 36 states, with extra 6 representing each of the 6 geopolitical zones. There are indications that President Tinubu may restructure some of the ministries to make them more efficient. Many analysts have said it will take a cabinet of credible and competent people for the Tinubu government to gain more support from Nigerians. Since the president's assumption into office, he's appointed Mr. George Akume as Secretary to the Government of the Federation and Femi Gbajabiamila as the Chief of Staff in his first month in office. And if the list is read today, we'll put paid to the anxiety over that. Our National Assembly correspondent, Linda Kibe, reports that it appears the Senate President is now in receipt of that list, and she's at the Senate and she tells us more.
I'm here in the Senate corridors in the National Assembly, where plenary session is about to begin in a couple of minutes, and where we expect that the President of the Senate, Senator Godswill Akpabio, is expected to read the much-anticipated ministerial list. Now, you know, this list, Nigerians have been looking forward to knowing who the members of President Bola Tinubu's cabinet will be, and this list has been expected since last week in the National Assembly. There were reports that the list was already in the Senate last week, even yesterday and the day before yesterday, but that all turned out to be false because the letter was not read. What we're expecting is a letter from President Bola Tinubu with the names of the ministers who will form part of his cabinet. So the mood in the National Assembly is quite expectant. The Senate gallery is filled with journalists and some observers who are really, waiting for the Senate president to arrive and, read the list. But lawmakers are trickling into the Senate chamber. Plenary has not started, and we are waiting the arrival of the Senate president.
And we are following those developments and we'll bring you more as we get them. And to another thorny issue, the federal government representatives met with the leadership of the unions in the nation's capital yesterday, set to be a continuation of their previous discussions on measures to cushion the impact of fuel subsidy removal. The Speaker of the House of Representatives was also at the Villa to meet with the President on the way forward regarding the strike by the Nigeria Association of Resident Doctors. Correspondent Larry Lasisi brings us more.
On Monday, July 24th, 2023, the Speaker of the House of Representatives led some members to meet with the leadership of the National Association of Resident Doctors. The meeting was aimed at averting the planned strike action by the doctors. The Speaker had promised to take their demands to the President. While the plea of the lawmakers did not stop the doctors from embarking on strike, the leadership of the House met with the President on the issue. After the meeting in the presidential villa, the Speaker voiced his optimism that the strike will be called off in the next few days, even as the President asked the doctors for more time.
What he said is that he is just coming on board. We should ask them and beg them to please give him a little more time. Most of the things that they mentioned, he is completely unaware of them. He is yet to be briefed about all those issues. But from what he heard from me, he also advised that we should channel all those issues to the Chief of Staff for him to look at them one after the other.
Meanwhile, the federal government's team on palliatives also met with representatives of organized labor at the presidential villa in continuation of their deliberations on palliatives to cushion the effect of subsidy removal. Following the meeting, the parties spoke on the outcome of their deliberations.
We've agreed to continue to make progress. It was a very productive meeting. The focus was really around how we fast-track a lot of the interventions that will bring relief, particularly around CNG mass transportation, cleaner energy transportation, and reduce the impact of the cost of transportation, the increased cost of transportation. So we've made good progress, and we're going to continue to do so, and so that we can start rolling out these opportunities and these relief and measures as quickly as possible.
Some of the things they presented, we did not agree with them. So the areas we did not agree, we also made our input known, because when you come to such meeting, it's for government or its representative to do a presentation, but it's left for us to either agree or disagree. So during the meeting, we gave them sufficient feedback, and they also agreed to go and look at those feedbacks and get back to us on Friday.
Can we be tried to go on strike on August 2 if federal government doesn't reverse policies?
I wouldn't know. We are going ahead with the protest because that's what we have to be emphatic on what we put in our communique. We say we are commencing protest from the 2nd.
You're not satisfied with the outcome today?
This meeting has no relationship with the. Remember, and I want you to be careful about it.
It is clear that a lot may be hanging on the outcome of the next meeting of this committee, as positive agreements may bring some relief to Nigerians. Lanre Lasese, Channels Television News.
And we head to Enugu, the coal city in the southeast, where its peaceful atmosphere was disrupted yesterday after a protest by traders turned violent, resulting in the death of one person. Traders at the Ogbete main market trooped out in demonstration against the sealing of their shops by the Enugu state government for complying with the illegal sit-at-home order by the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB.
What shop is this? Is this somebody's shop? Yes.
It's barely 48 hours since the Enugu state government sealed off some shops in Ogbete main market for non-compliance with its directive banning the sit-at-home order by the members of the indigenous people of Biafra.
It's not 1 and 2. 1 and 2. Different persons. Only 2. One person is here, one person is here.
The idea, according to the secretary to the state government, is to show government's commitment to putting an end to the unlawful holiday in the state.
What I came today was to enforce what His Excellency has said, that the shops that are not open, that we will seal them as a deterrent. And if you look inside that market, you see that a lot of people came, but the few people that decided not to come. So we had an agreement here in line with the policy and His Excellency's declaration that those shops will be closed.
The affected traders are not taking the clampdown lying low. They have come out en masse to protest what they see as government high-handedness. They march through the streets of Enugu, bearing their disgust with chants and songs. Attempts by some of the traders to break these seals results in disagreement with market leaders and eventually a full-blown protest. These eyewitness videos show disturbing scenes of chaos, burnt fire, with some residents finding ways to escape from the scene. According to a report signed by the police public relations officer, DSP Daniel Undukwe, the protest was infiltrated and hijacked by dangerously armed hoodlums and miscreants who broke into shops and looted traders' wares. Although the police are yet to make any statement regarding the number of deaths, this eyewitness video shows that at least a casualty was recorded during the face-off. The government has, however, called on the people and residents of Enugu to remain calm and go about their lawful businesses as adequate security measures are in place to secure lives and property in the state.
Well, staying with that particular story, let's move on to another story, and this also has to do with security. Governor Babagana Zulum, he has directed security operatives to crack down on a notorious Malian group believed to be terrorizing residents in some parts of Maiduguri and Jere within the metropolis. The Malian group, which is populated by some youths associated with drug abusers, they've gained notoriety for engaging in wide range of criminal activities such as extortion, robbery, drug and substance abuse, and acts of terrorism, including the killing of security operatives. Governor Zulum yesterday in Maiduguri held an emergency security meeting at the government house and thereafter briefed journalists. He explained that he received intelligence reports indicating an increase in youth gangsterism in some parts of the state capital operated by the syndicate. He expressed great concern about the escalating violence, assuring citizens that his administration will not allow such a matter to deteriorate any further. And the chairperson of ECOWAS Authority, Heads of State and Government, President Bola Tinubu, yesterday said the body is closely monitoring the situation in Niger after news broke of the blockade of the presidential palace. In a statement, the president notes that the sub-regional body will not accept any action that impedes the smooth functioning of legitimate authority in Niger or any part of West Africa. As Nigeria's leader, President Tinubu also adds that Nigeria stands firmly with the elected government in Niger. He met with the Benin president over the crisis and said that President Patrice Talon will be heading to Niamey, the capital of Niger, to address the situation. Well, we understand that plenary has started at the National Assembly. As we join, we understand the President of Senate is speaking. And let's find out if indeed it is about the ministerial list, highly anticipated.
Page 111. Page 112. Page 113. Page 114. Page 115. Page 116. Page 117. Page 118. Page 119. Page 120. Distinguished Senator Dixon. Thank you, Mr. President, and my very distinguished colleagues. I am Henry Seraki Dixon, Senator representing Bayelsa West, and I rise to move that the votes and proceedings of yesterday, being Wednesday, 26 July 2023, be hereby adopted, and I so move. Distinguished Senator Odende.
Thank you, Mr. President. My dear colleagues, I stand to support the motion as moved by Senator Seraki Dixon. I so support.
Distinguished senators and my brother colleagues and sisters, the motion has been moved and seconded. Those who are in support of the motion say aye. Those who are against say nay. The ayes have it. The votes and proceedings of Wednesday, the 26th day of July 2023 has been approved. Leader of the Senate.
Thank you, Mr. President. Very distinguished senators. I will move that the Senate revert to go into executive session to enable us do some house clearing.
Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I support by the Senate that the Senate of executive session discuss further. I saw.
So I guess lots more still to expect at plenary. This is talking about the ministerial list. We'll keep following developments there as they take that short break. Well, we continue with our programming, and this is with regards to Niger. Just a few hours ago, soldiers in the West African country announced a coup on national television. They said they had dissolved the constitution, suspended all institutions, and closed the nation's borders. Niger's president, Mohamed Bazoum, has been held by troops from the Presidential Guard since early on Wednesday. He was promised Washington's unwavering support in a call from U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres also said he had spoken to the president and offered the UN's full support. Mr. Bazoum is a key Western ally in the fight against Islamist militancy in West Africa. Two neighboring countries, Mali and Burkina Faso, have experienced coups triggered by jihadist uprisings. and this is in recent years. Mr. Basum's whereabouts are unclear, but in a statement on Twitter this morning, he said the hard-won gains will be safeguarded and that Nigerians who love democracy will see to it. Foreign Minister Hasumi Masudu has declared himself the head of state and called on all Democrats to make this adventure fail. Career diplomat and former Federal Permanent Secretary Ambassador Godknows Igali. He joins me now to talk more about this. I'm told that he isn't with us at this time. Hopefully we'll try to get in touch with him to talk about this. But let's move on, and this is going to Yobe State, where the governor, Mai Mala Buni, has flagged off the distribution of food palliatives to disabled persons in the matter of the state capital following the removal of fuel subsidy by the president. Governor Buni, who was represented by the executive secretary of the state's emergency management agency, Mohammed Gujay, revealed that government was commencing the exercise with 500 beneficiaries in the matter before moving to other local government areas. The food basket, which consists of a bag of rice, beans, spices, among other items, they explained that they're working on other palliatives that will target other categories of residents.
Following the removal of fuel subsidy, as you can see, going around in the media, His Excellency President Federal Republic of Nigeria, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, has initiated steps to relieve the suffering of the public. And this transit down to the state governors. Our amiable governor, His Excellency Governor Labuni, directed us immediately to review our stocks availability and start responding to the plight of the most vulnerable. And following our review, we assess that the most vulnerable at the moment are persons living with disabilities, because they are the ones that go out to either beg or to do some menial jobs to get what to put on their table. Looking at the cost of transportation, we decided to reach them at their local government areas. For this one is those within the natural environment, those that can only pay 200 to 300 naira to reach the destination of distribution. If you bring somebody from outside, paying 7,000, 10,000 to come and collect food basket for 1 month, if you remove the transfer money out of the food basket, it doesn't make a lot of sense.
West State, the governor, Umar Fintiri, has approved 10,000 monthly allowances for the workers and pensioners on the payroll of the state government for a period of 6 months. This was disclosed by the chairman of the Special Committee on Mitigating the Effects of Fuel Subsidy, Chief of Staff to the governor, Dr. Edgar Amos, while addressing the media after a meeting at the government house, Yola, the Adamawa state capital. According to him, the measures are part of recommendations made by the Special Committee constituted by the state government to cushion the effects of subsidy removal on citizens.
There will be a 10,000 naira subsidy allowance for all workers and pensioners on the payroll of the state government. Another decision is that before now, local government workers have not been enjoying the full implementation of the minimum wage at the local government level. His Excellency, the Governor of Adamawa State, Right Honorable Ahmadu Umar Fintiri, has approved that beginning with August salary, local government workers' salaries will be implemented with the full minimum wage tables of the federal government. And then the state government has also ordered for 70 bags of 70 trucks of maize and 20 trucks of rice for distribution to citizenry at subsidized rates. There will also be 50 trucks of fertilizer, again, specifically for workers who are known to also be engaging in agricultural activities at subsidized rates. There are also plans for purchase of buses, for conveyance of workers to the state secretariat, and then buses for interlocal government transportation. These are, for the moment, some of the measures that the state government has taken towards mitigating the pains resulting from removal of subsidy by the federal government.
Well, back to talking about things outside our shores, and that is with Niger. Career diplomat, former Federal Permanent Secretary Ambassador Godrose Gali is with us now. Thank you for joining us. What do you make of what we're seeing in Niger?
Thank you very much. Well, I must say it's quite disturbing that we have suddenly in West Africa become a belt of military coups. We're still having a situation in Mali, in Burkina Faso, and one would have thought that by now we're able to have a level of stability in the region.
Ambassador,
yes.
Some people say that all the markings were there.
Yes. The markings were there because, as you know, Niger has a number of problems that are multiple. First and foremost is the fact that it's a very poor country, with all due respect. If you look at the Human Development Index, it's one of the lowest in the world. And the country has in the past suffered a lot in terms of instability. This is the first time that a civilian is handed over to a civilian because of the country's 10 presidents. So those were signs that democracy was still moving with one foot and needed to stabilize. The other factor is the combination of the security situation in the Sahel, the combination of Al-Qaeda, the combination of Islamic State of West Africa, the combination of other terrorist groups that are operating in the Sahel, and the destabilization in Mali, which is a neighbor to Burkina Faso. So all these factors combined, the present president or the immediate president who has been overthrown came as a reformist president. He had been a foreign minister, a minister of interior before. And the whole world saw him as somebody who could deliver democracy. But then there were endemic problems. And he would have needed time to settle down and begin to address them. And I think he started to do so. Yes.
We just have about a minute, and this is to quickly get your thoughts. The West African Economic Bloc, ECOWAS, says it condemns in the strongest terms what is happening. But do you see them succeeding, especially as the chair is President Bola Tinubu?
Well, ECOWAS in the past had intervened quite successfully in regional crisis. We may not have all the capacity as like other big democracies, but we've done quite well. We intervene in the cases in Liberia, Sierra Leone, Guinea, and right now we have an ECOWAS stabilization force in Guinea-Bissau. And so these are success factors. What President Tinubu has done, which is commendable, is the fact that he has adopted diplomacy, which is first to engage the government and engage the militarists through the President of the Republic of Benin, who is his special envoy, to try and interface with them and see if we can be able to, as a region, broker some level of peace and understanding. You see, in the world, this is our first line of defense. So we have to try to solve our problems. So what he has done is to set up a high-level special envoy, not just an ambassador, but a president of a neighboring country. So I think this is the right step, and it's the first thing to do. Other parts of the world can condemn, but it is our duty to be our brothers' keepers and to move in, and that's what President Tinubu has done, and it's quite commendable.
We'll continue to watch as things unfold. Career diplomat, former Federal Permanent Secretary, Ambassador Godrose Gali, many thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Today. Thank you. And you've been served lunch this time. Many thanks for watching. I'm Millicent Wonga. Do stay with Channels Television for all the news and information you need in Nigeria and across the world.